Got plenty of time for your deadline, so I can think of something to say here. Well, I have to reiterate how important that win was to our program, to our team, to our school. I haven't even talked to Sean about how relevant this is, like what year it was, but it sounds like it's been like 14 or 15 years since we've been this relevant this late in the season. And it's not by accident. These guys work hard every day, and I've been challenging them. And we had this phrase, raising the bar all season, and I just keep raising it on them. And once they get comfortable, I make it uncomfortable. And I'm trying to keep it going, and they're trying to keep it going, and they're doing a good job. Because I challenged them. I told them the whole time this week that the USC was our most important game before that game. It was really important, and they rose to the occasion, didn't play well, and won that game, which put us in a position to make this our most important game, certainly in my tenure here and in the last however many years, 15, 20, or 15 or 16. And they answered that bell. So I couldn't be more proud of them. They deserve to enjoy this day, watch the Super Bowl, have some fun, but we're getting right back to work, for next week as soon as we can. So with that, why don't I open it up for questions?
We'll talk about the importance of this win, but it also seems to be one of your more impressive victories because you were able to do it when Roberto was having an off night. Can you just talk about the other pieces kind of coming together?
I sure can. And the term off night is interesting because outside of his turnovers, I thought he was playing well within what we were doing, but he had a few too many turnovers because we was trying to do even more. But tonight, Roberto knew that he had to sort of play the decoy role because we saw early on that, when he flinched with the ball, there were two guys coming at him. And once he realized that, he was the reason why we have 5 guys in double figures because he was helping set those guys up. So I agree. It is impressive to be able to win when Roberto Nelson only has 12 points and he shoots 2 for 8. I do. But that just shows you the kind of playmaker he can be and what we have without him. I felt very comfortable with almost every shot that the guys were taking out there. And what was really interesting was that those guys kept me calm when they went on the 11-0 run by the way they started playing defense once we had our timeout. I'm seeing a huge maturation process in a lot of the players, but in the team as a whole.
I guess you didn't really think about this week until I mentioned playing on Super Bowl Sunday. Now that you've done it, do you think maybe this should be part of Oregon State's tradition?
Yeah, well, I don't know about that, but I'll tell you what, that was a very good crowd for a Super Bowl Sunday at 11:30, especially the student section. I want to thank Beaver Nation for coming out because I know everybody's probably. This is one of those days where everybody's got plans for the Super Bowl, even if they're not football fans. So it's almost like Thanksgiving or Christmas that way. But to see the amount of students that were there and how loud they were, I promise you that our guys feel that, especially when they need it and they need a little run. When we were coming back, we were down 11 and started coming back, you could feel the crowd sort of pushing the guys forward. And then when we pulled away a little bit, hearing that crowd go crazy, I'm sure the other team heard it and felt it. So it's nice, but I don't know if I want to make a habit of playing on Super Bowl Sunday. It's just really, it just depends. If your team's good, you don't care when you play. And so I guess I don't mind playing any day with this team, but Super Bowl Sunday is such a distraction.
Coach Hallice talked about that you guys won this game in practice yesterday. And he goes for 20. That's pretty good for a young guy to hear that message and then go out and have his best game.
Yeah, that kid is getting a little too mature for his own good because I did challenge him in practice, and I wasn't going to mention it to anybody, but and they responded, and he responded. But Hallice is not your typical freshman. He's playing like he's been here before, and he's almost. And it didn't start it didn't just start when he was in the starting lineup. He's been doing it all season long. I mean, he's in the gym all the time. He's watching film all the time, and he's asking questions that are pertinent. And it's funny because I rarely challenge the team individually. I want to challenge the whole team because it's a team game, and we need our second string and our third string guys to practice well in order for our top guys to be good. But he always takes it personally. I mean, he feels like when I challenge the team, I'm challenging him personally. He really responds to that. So I don't want to overuse it, but I'm happy to hear that he spilled the beans to you guys.
What did you like most about his game today?
You know, I liked his calmness under fire. I mean, that's a good team. I mean, I don't know what's going to happen next week, but I was assuming that those guys were going to be ranked. You know, and I don't pay attention to that kind of stuff very often, but, you know, we had yesterday off, so the whole league's playing, so I'm watching more games than I usually do, and everybody's talking about how good the conference is and how if Arizona can keep it going, it's going to buoy the whole conference, and that UCLA should be ranked. And so I was hearing that, and I thought about it. I was like, yeah, they should be. So to watch him come out and play as calmly as he did in a game like that, I mean, I was really impressed. I mean, here's a kid, he had 2 turnovers in 35 minutes. That's pretty good for a freshman. And at no time was I nervous that he was out there. The only time I took him out was when I thought he was tired and he needed a blow. But, you know, his shot making is fun to watch. And he's getting to be a better defender because doesn't have much body weight to him yet. He's still got a freshman body, but he's good at staying in front of his guy. And then finding open guys in that zone. You know, playing zone offense is harder than playing man-to-man offense, especially in college for freshmen. And he handled it superbly.
Could you discuss the importance of this game coming into it now that you came out with a win?
Right. You know, I probably should think about that a little bit before I answer, but since I can't, because we're here now, I would say it's important on a couple of fronts. And it's important for our program because, you know, when I first got here, this place was tough, and admittedly. So I don't want anybody feeling sorry for us, but we had a lot of work to do, and it just, for our guys and our fans and our administration, it's a validation of we're heading in the right direction, doing the right things. That's the first thing. The second thing is when you have, I mean, you know, you guys have seen my team now for a few years. They play hard. They work hard. They're trying to do what's right. It's nice to get rewarded for that because in real life, you don't always get rewarded for what you do well. And my dad always said, and I always say to these guys, you don't always deserve what you get. You just get what you deserve, right? You don't always, I mean, you can't count on getting what you deserve. Life doesn't work that way. So it's nice when it works out that way, when you can see some results to all the work that goes in. And then finally, the most exciting thing is that we're here in February and we're relevant for the first time in conference. You're always relevant at the end. You got a chance to win the conference tournament, but you know what I mean. You're relevant in the thick of things because there are a lot of teams that are 5-4. I haven't looked at the rankings. I mean, at the standings, but there are probably a lot of teams that are 5-4, and we still get a chance to play some of the teams that are above us, so we can make some strides. So, you know, without having given it too much philosophical thought, those are the things that come to mind.
What about for you? I've asked you about being on the hot seat. You've been asked about that before.
Yeah. Well, you know what I always say. These jobs are meant to be on the hot seat. That's just what you guys do. You know, and you're laughing because you know I'm right, because there's no more gold watch for being a good dude, graduating players and sticking around. All right, I get that. So talking about me being on the hot seat doesn't bother me. It's always going to be there. What's tough is when my guys hear that stuff, so I got to sort of distract them from that because they read more of your stuff than I do. So there's no different feeling today than there was yesterday. I mean, we just want to try and keep winning, and keep playing, keep progressing, and I think that's helping, because now with this TV deal and when you're winning, everybody sees you. There are going to be more people who say, "Hey, I like what's going on at Oregon State."
Is there sort of a buzz in the locker room? Because, you guys do read us, and they see some of the things that are being written and the success that they're enjoying and the notoriety that's bringing them. Is that sort of giving a certain charge to the program going through conference season?
If I have anything to say with it, say about it, it doesn't, because I'm trying to encourage them to just focus on the task at hand and have their accolades come from within. I'm trying to teach them that it's not important what people think of you. It's important what your teammates think of you. Just ordinary folks, it's not important. It's what those guys next to you feel. So there's not like, there wasn't a whole lot of cheering and high-fiving. They were happy, and they're probably happy because I wasn't mad. They feel that kind of stuff. But let's face it, they're college guys playing at a big school. They got a lot of notoriety, win or lose. I think there's some validation to all the work that they're putting in, and now I get to even work them even more because what I've been saying is working. So it's a win-win for us.
Were you more impressed with the way they overcame that 11-point deficit, or the way they held on at the end when UCLA was kind of putting a
I was so. If I think back to it, I think I was more panicked when they took the 11-point lead. And I don't know why. I have to watch the film and try and figure out what my feelings were. But I was not happy with that. I thought we threw some passes and took some shots that we talk about all the time. And I called a timeout, and Roberto said, I was getting on him, and Roberto said to me, "Okay, all right, what's the next thing?" He was like, "Okay, we get it. We understand we made a mistake. What's the next thing?" And I couldn't be mad at him because I was so angry I almost didn't give him any instruction. And that's what Coach Carrill used to do with us, and I used to hate that. And I was like, okay, yeah, you're right. So then we decided what play we were going to run, and they calmly chipped away at it. So when we got to the end of the game, I wasn't as worked up as I was when we were down 11 because I figured, okay, we're going to start making our foul shots. But then when Roberto missed his two, I was almost at the point of panic, but then we had the great stop. And Angus Brandt's charge, I think, was the game-winning play. I mean, to see a 6'10" kid make that kind of play on a guy like Adams, who's a very good player and knows how to get fouled, he played that perfectly. So
when you're down 5 and then you go on with about 8 minutes left, you call a timeout, you go on an 18-2 run.
yeah, that happens when you're playing a team like UCLA. Those dudes can like poof. You just don't want them to poof it out to 12 points. So we had a little run of our own, and I mean we're getting to the point where we can. I don't want to say you can count on runs, but it happens in basketball, and we've got some guys. You got guys like Roberto Nelson and Devon Collier and Angus and Hallice. Those guys can all get rolling and make a couple of shots, and when they do it all together, that's when you spread the lead out.
And Eric made some big plays during that stretch. That helped you get back into the lead. I mean, how much does his effort and energy kind of rub off on everybody?
It rubs off on us a lot. I always have said about this team, there are certain people who can get this team going, and Eric is number one on that list. Well, when Eric plays, our guys feel like they're going to win the game. You know how I say there's some guys bring something to the table, different things to the table. Roberto is the guy that the party doesn't start till Roberto gets there, But if Eric is playing in the game, our guys feel like they can win. It's like when Olaf makes a three. When he makes a three, it's like a dunk. When Eric's playing, our guys feel like they can do whatever they want.
What's the biggest difference you feel like in this team this year, contrasted to last year when at this point in conference season you guys were sort of struggling, this year when you've been really successful?
Yeah, well,
What's the biggest change?
The biggest change is Angus Brandt. We didn't have Angus last year, and you know, and I don't want anybody feeling sorry for us because nobody did, and they took advantage of it. But we didn't have Angus, and he's a very good player and a calming influence, and we're a completely different team without him. As you could see, when we had him out in this game, we had to play a little bit differently because he wasn't in there. That's number one. Number two is we have more experience. We went through last year so we could be prepared for this year. That's a big factor that I think gets overlooked a lot. You only get good at winning when you start to win.
Greg, do you think this team is going to get the feel that they expect to win these kind of games instead of hoping?
You know, I'm hoping for that. It's hard. You know, it's like the year we had that quadruple overtime. And everybody asks, you think this is going to affect you for the rest of the season? You really don't know until you have the rest of the season, and we came to find out that it did. I don't think I'll be able to truly answer that convincingly until the end, but it's starting to feel that way. I mean, you know, like, you know how you get to this part of the season and practice can really seem to drag out. All I have to do is point out a couple of things, and then they're back in focus. That's different from last year and the years prior, because they have stuff to work for, and they have there's this goal at the end. There's a light at the end of the tunnel. You can use whatever metaphor you want. There's a goal out there that's achievable. So I'm hoping they feel like they can win every day. I tell them, the staff and I tell them every single day, we feel like every game we play, we have a chance of winning. And there's some games we know we're going to win before we feel like we're going to win before we play. Now, that's a new feeling for the coaching staff to have that kind of confidence in the players. It's my job to get them feeling that way so they step out on the court and they get down 11 to a UCLA and don't panic and come back and then miss a few foul shots and have the wrong guy take the ball out of bounds and still end up winning the game.
Obviously, every next game is important, but how huge is this 3-game road trip coming up for you guys?
It's going to be really important because that's how you separate yourself from the rest of the good teams separate themselves from the mediocre teams by winning on the road. And 3 in a row, you know, we went from having more home games, now we got more away games. You know how it is, every weekend that's going to change. And the goal is always you want to get your splits on the road and steal one every now and then. That's I mean, you know, guys might say that's not how they think about it, but, you know, I don't have any reason to fake you out. That's how we think about it. And if we can get 1 or 2 of these next 3, be big. I mean, I don't even want to even try and even think about that now. I just want to think about that next game that we have to play well.
Seahawks or Broncos?
Seahawks.
You got a score, Craig?
No, I'm not good at that because I'm not a betting man, but I would say that it would be really interesting to see it to be 26-23 or like a 3-point game, but I don't think it's going to get to the 30s. I don't. I think Peyton Manning is a great quarterback, but I like defense.